It is going to come down to, can Lincoln Riley develop a tier 1 quarterback? In 2025, everything rests on the right shoulder and between the ears of QB1 Jayden Maiava.
You are Locked On USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC, part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every single day. No matter if you want to watch this show on YouTube, however you want to download this podcast, this show is always going to be free. This show is always going to appreciate your support. We know Coach Riley is more than capable of developing quarterbacks. He's got a long resume of just Heisman winner, Heisman runner-up. He knows what he's doing when it comes to the quarterback position. Nevertheless, something was missing in 2024. Mostly it was USC's offense and that great quarterback play production that we've become accustomed to with Lincoln Riley teams. I mean, Miller Moss and Jayden Maiava last year, they weren't terrible, but they weren't great. And you can't just be a middle-of-the-road quarterback if you want to have high aspirations. And you can't just be a middle-of-the-road quarterback if you're going to be the quarterback at a place like USC. Now, they both had great moments. I mean, Miller Moss, you think about that LSU game, the comeback win. Obviously, Jayden Maiava, he has that comeback win against Texas A&M. But not enough of them, not enough great moments. And their bad moments just seem to, I don't know, it cast a long shadow over those good ones. And that's really what the quarterback play looked like last year. It was like, wow, look at that. And then, oh, look at that. Look, I can still remember it like yesterday. USC went 11-3 in year one, right? And the vision of a Lincoln Riley offense paired up with a returning Heisman winner in year two, the transfer portal, and a chance to make the playoffs, that was what was going through everybody's head, even with that bitter taste of the Cotton Bowl loss still lingering in the back of our throats. Literally, the only thing that was missing was a competent defense. Again, USC's defense with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams didn't have to be great, just competent, right? That's all we wanted. A defense that can get off the field with more third down stops than not. A defense that can get off the field before giving up a touchdown. That type of defense. You know, you wanted a defense that was going to help your offense win games that didn't require a 45-30 something type of result on the scoreboard, let alone a narrow USC 50-49 victory. That's not a winning combination. So before last year, Coach Riley had one of the top scoring offenses in the country. As a head coach, he was always top 10. I've gone over these numbers before, but let's just go through it real quickly. Lincoln Riley became a head coach in 2017. That's when he took over the Sooners program. So from 2017 through 2025, he had the number 3 offense, the number 1 offense, the number 6 offense, the number 6 offense again in 2020. He dropped all the way down to number 8 in 2021. Shows up at USC, they have the number 3 scoring offense. The following year, the number 3 scoring offense. And then last year, just this precipitous dive off the cliff. I mean, it was just like, what happened? All of a sudden, the 51st best offense in the country? Lincoln Riley? That ain't natural. And then all of a sudden, God said, you know what? Let's play he took a cruel test. He said, let's test our faith. Let's test the Trojan family's faith. He gave Coach Riley a great defensive coordinator, Antonlynn, right? A more than competent defense that kept USC in every single game last year. But I think God said, you know what? Let's play around with the offense. Let's make this joke really funny. I don't know who it was funny to, but it wasn't funny to us. So you go you're going from having a top 10 or better offense all the way down to the 51st best. And I think there's more at play here than, well, USC is playing in the Big Ten Conference now. They play better defense than what maybe Lincoln Riley was accustomed to in the Big 12 or the former Pac-12. I think it was more than that, a lot more than that, because USC's running game was working great last year. However, that one position where you always anticipate great production, that's where it dropped off. I mean, what kind of cruel joke is that? Let's give Lincoln Riley a more than competent, a good defense. I didn't say great. I said a good defense. But we're going to take away his quarterback production. I mean, like I said, Coach Riley finally had a defense, but he didn't have a quarterback. Weird. So in 2025, look, right now there is a ton of confidence on the defensive side of the ball, a ton. But I'm starting to hear, and the reason I'm saying here is because there's and I'm using finger quotes, a quiet confidence with Jayden Maiava, and it's coming from his teammates. And when that happens, I'm like, all right, I know when I'm hearing coach speak or when I'm hearing, the typical platitudes that players like to give out. This was more of what I'm hearing and then what I'm starting to see. We don't get to see a lot. You know that. Coach Riley he likes to control the narrative, what the media is allowed to see, what they're allowed to talk about. And I understand why. I get it. I really do. But look, I still remember my Al Bundy days of playing high school football. Yeah. Long time ago. I remember the locker room. I remember those moments where all of a sudden something just happens during a practice and a leader's kind of born. It organically, it kind of just happens. There's a moment, whether it's breaking up a fight, something on the practice field that all the players kind of go, that's it. That's it. Teammates, they know how to identify a leader. So I saw a little clip from a recent USC practice, and maybe it was today's actually. The Spirit of Troy, USC band, they came out after practice, hit the practice field, and there is a serious symbiotic relationship between the football program and the band. They feed off of each other. Well, anyways, long story short, the band is doing their thing. They're doing a little mini concert for the team, and I've never seen this part from Jayden Maiava before, but he just looked so loose, so comfortable, and he was out there, doing the victory salute, dancing with his teammates, having a good time. So I saw that, and then I also recently saw a video clip where Coach Riley sat down with Yogi Roth and Ashley Adamson from the Big Ten Network's football training camp tour. They showed up in LA. By the way, you should check that out. It's a really good show. Yogi Roth, Ashley Adamson, the Big Ten Network. You can find it on YouTube, I'm sure. Anyways, so Coach Riley was asked about Jayden Maiava. And this is what Coach Riley said. And it kind of just all clicked. He said, quote, he's more confident. He's more self-assured in every way. As a player, as a leader, commanding the offense. It's almost like he's not a different person, but it's like a totally different version of him right now. And it's fun to see that confidence. You see his personality really coming out. Last year, he was just trying to kind of find his way, not step on any toes, not make any mistakes. Now, you just kind of see that swagger and that confidence. And I think our guys are feeding off of that right now, end quote. That's exactly that was the vibe I got watching Jayden kind of interact with his teammates during the whole band concert thing following Wednesday's practice. If Jayden is a different version of himself now, great. I am really looking forward to that version on the football field in 9 days. Yep. 9 more days. That's it. USC kicks off against Missouri State, beat the Bears. But Coach Riley chose Maiava out of the transfer portal for a reason. Okay. Now he's got a defense. Remember, last year, USC's defense only gave up 24 points per game. Those guys are returning bigger. That side of the ball is even deeper with bigger guys, more talent. Now it just needs a normal Lincoln Riley offense to, I don't know, return with a normal Lincoln Riley quarterback production. And if that happens, USC is going to be in the driver's seat. We know the defense is going to be better. So it's up to coach. It's up to the quarterback. Those two have to get their act together. By the way, dripping with sarcasm for those of you who weren't sure. So right now, you put all that together. You got the defense you have a ton of confidence in. You got to feel, you know what? Last year was more of a fluke, something you don't anticipate. Coach Riley and the quarterback play not being in sync. I don't think that's going to happen 2 years in a row. And if it doesn't, you get your normal Coach Riley play calling. You get your Coach Riley normal quarterback production. Guess what? You combine that with a good defense, it's going to be even better. We've been talking about it all off season. Why USC isn't getting any respect? Why the plus minus in Vegas is 7.5? Excuse me, the over under. I broke it down for you every which way but loose. I don't know how many times. Win your 7 home games. I know easier said than done. Win your 7 home games. You should get the win at Purdue. Now you're at 8 games. Can you split the final 4 road games? You win 10, you're going to the playoffs. But again, this year, it comes down to quarterback play. I've got a lot of confidence in the run game. I got a ton of confidence in the defense. I know what I'm getting with Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane at wide receiver. I want to see what I should be seeing from Coach Riley and from the quarterback position. And I think we will. So like I said, 9 more days, folks. We're almost there. You know what? We've got a couple more segments to go. I'm going to give you 15 predictions in 2025 as it pertains to this USC team. And then, you know what? I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong. And it looks like I was right again. We're going to talk about the strength of schedule and how it's going to matter all of a sudden. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried it. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougette Ready. Rougette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost your blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and it kicks in fast, like on an average of 15 minutes, maybe less. And the effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked for you, Rougette might be the answer. In fact, over 150,000 men have already made the switch. And you'll love that it's completely online. Rougette connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly right to your front door. Head to rougette.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use the promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougette website for full safety information. Myself, along with Eric McKinney, Scott Schrader, Greg Katz, Chris Arledge, we put together our predictions. It's a prediction list for the WeAreSC.com community. As you know, when you're done making Locked On USC, your first listen every day, you're done with the Locked On Network, your team every day for all of your sports information, get over there to wearesc.com. Trust me, there's so much content, you won't know what to do with it. So the four of us, we put together the five of us, we put together our predictions. I have no idea who they submitted. Eric is kind of compiling that data, and he's going to publish that story either on Thursday or Friday this week. So make sure you check that out. However, after careful consideration and deep thoughts, I have my list ready for the Locked On USC family. I'm not going to make you wait to hear mine. You can wait to see everybody else's. So the first one, who will be USC's MVP on offense? I got Jacoby Lane. I just think he's going to have too many touchdowns that you can't. It's that stat. It's that, you know what? He got so much disrespect as far as, best wide receivers, let alone in the country, but in the conference. I think Jacoby is going to he's going to remind everybody why they were wrong. Same question, USC's MVP on defense. I'm going to go with a second-year player, Cameron Fountain. I just think he's the dude this year. Okay, these next three questions were true or false. So, Jayden Maiava will throw for more than 3,000 yards. I said true. Jayden Maiava will throw fewer than 10 interceptions. I said false. I predict he's going to throw 11. As long as he's throwing 30 touchdowns, 30 or more, I can deal with 10 or 11 interceptions. Give me that 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, and I'll show you an elite quarterback. Waymon Jordan Jr. will rush for more than 1,000 yards. True. Okay. Next question. Given Makai Lemon and Jacoby Lane, both of them are anticipated to finish 1 and 2. Who finishes number 3 in receptions for USC? A lot of people think Zacharias Williams is going to be that guy. He came over from Utah. He was their wide receiver 1, according to Coach Kyle Whittingham. Prince Strachan is another guy who came over. He joined USC from Boise State. He was also a number 1. Both of those are good choices. I had to flip a coin. I'm going to go with the bigger of the two. I'm going to go with Prince Strachan. Now, with that being said, one of USC's coaches anonymously told Scott Schrader, and this is one of the nuggets you get over there at wearc.com, Zacharias might be the best NFL wide receiver on the roster. Again, I didn't hear it. I'm just passing it along. Next question. It was a fill in the blank. Who will lead USC in sacks this season? And that person, he will finish with how many total sacks? Well, I already told you who my defensive MVP is. So, connecting the dots, Cameron Fountain will lead the team in sacks. And I got him in double digits. I'm giving him 10. Question. Biggest impact freshman or redshirt freshman on offense? I had to think about this one for a little bit. And he said, you know what? What's the one area that USC can maybe use some more of on the field? Makai Lemon, he's fast, but he's not a burner. Same thing with Jacoby Lane. Speed kills. So how about true freshman wide receiver, Tanuk Hines? Remember that name. He wears the same jersey number as Taj Washington. If he plays or performs like Taj Washington, yeah, it's a good thing. Same question. Biggest impact freshman or redshirt freshman on defense? Now, on yesterday's episode of Locked On USC, I talked about how Floyd Boucard could possibly have a better college football career than Shaquem Stewart or a better freshman season. Well, I still feel that Floyd Boucard is that dude. That being said, I think Jakeem will have a bigger impact. I just think he's going to have more opportunity to have that impact, where Floyd has to kind of wedge his way in between, Keyshawn Silver and Jamal Jarrett and Kobe Pepe, throw in a Carlon Jones. So again, when you're a true freshman, you got other guys in front of you that possibly you're going to be playing in front of you. So it was that fine line. I just think Jakeem's going to have more opportunity. That's all. Okay, so next question. The most impactful off-season addition on either side of the ball will be, this one for me was actually kind of easy. I'm going to go with Keyshawn Silver. I'm going Keyshawn Silver. His athleticism combined with his size, yeah. I think it's going to have a huge impact. He was kind of that missing piece. He is a bigger, better version of what Bear Alexander was supposed to be last year. Under the radar player to watch in 2025 will be, oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I got it. Under the radar player to watch. I already mentioned the name once. Let's go to Nuke Hines again. He is under the radar. You don't hear his name a lot. Okay, next question. USC's record in one-score games in the 2025 season will be? We know what it was last year. It wasn't good. I got him going 4-1 this year. Complete 180. Gonna flip the script. Last year, think about those. They lost 4 games. They had a lead with a minute left in the game. You got to take that to heart. You got to learn from that. USC's record in road games at Illinois, Notre Dame, Nebraska, and Oregon. I kind of gave you a hint in the previous segment. I got them going 2-2. I've got them going 2-2 in those 4 games. And that leads up to the final question, final prediction. Here's number 15. USC's regular season record will be, look, I've already told everybody the floor is 9-3. I think this team can be 10-2. Win your 7 home games. Beat Purdue. You're at 8. Go 2-2 in those other 4. You can get there. That means beat Illinois, beat Nebraska. Can't get that done. Beat Notre Dame, beat Oregon. Find 2 wins out of those 4. It's not that challenging. But those are my 15 predictions. Agree? Disagree? Give me yours. Hit me up in the comments section. All right. One final segment to go. Told you. I was right. I follow trends. I look ahead. I kind of do a little bit of research. Scope things out. Looks like it might come to fruition. We'll talk about that coming up next. Playoff strength of schedule. What? If you're running a business, every single missed call is money you're leaving on the table. Think about the last time you actually needed a service. You called somebody up, nobody answered the phone. What did you do? Did you wait? No. You moved on to the next one. That's why you need open phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your own customers. Open phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 different phones, one for business, one for personal calls? Open phone solved that instantly for you. Another great feature, your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. There's not going to be any more there. I wonder who's handling this. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnCollege. That's openphone.com/LockedOnCollege. They'll even port over your existing numbers for free. Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. The preseason is already, it's heated up. It's about to burn out because we got college football this weekend. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. Trojan fans, Which USC Trojan NFLer are you most excited to watch put up numbers? Are you looking forward to Caleb Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown? What about Woody Marks? How many interceptions will Kalen Bullock get in 2025 for the Houston Texans? Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less. Do that on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And the flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you still doubled your money. And always remember, Prize Picks puts their customers first. So all withdrawals, they're fast, they're safe, and they're super secure. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege, and you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege. You're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game. The college football playoff formally announced. Yep, it's a formally announced message that it is changing the criteria that its 13-member selection committee uses to assess a team's schedule of strength and how teams perform against their respective schedules when evaluating its weekly rankings in the upcoming 2025 college football season. So, I guess as it turns out, I was right again. I kept telling everybody, strength of schedule is going to matter in the 12-team format, and it's going to matter in the 16-team format once they decide on that format. And I was thinking, I was looking at scheduling. I started noticing teams from the SEC were scheduling a really tough game in their first game of the season. Texas, Ohio State. You got Oklahoma and Michigan. Those types of games on the schedule. USC had Ole Miss at one time. Now they got Missouri State. Look, like I said, I've been telling y'all, strength of schedule is going to play a role going forward. Well, here we are. I mean, all you had to do, look at some of the out-of-conference scheduling. I just gave you a couple examples, SEC, Big Ten. Look at Notre Dame's schedule in 2025. Way better than what they've done in the past. Some of you look and say, well, that team's not really good. Arkansas, I don't care how good they are or they're anticipated to be. That's still a solid SEC program. They're playing Texas A&M. They're playing Miami. They're playing a bunch of teams from the ACC. Look, I'm not carrying, Notre Dame's bucket. But can we just be fair about certain things here? Please. I am not a Notre Dame fan. I get no greater joy than watching USC beat the Fighting Irish. None. I would rather give up the USC-UCLA rivalry than give up the USC-Notre Dame rivalry. So, again, just want to remind everybody, for those of you who were fighting with me tooth and nail over the reasons why USC and Notre Dame shouldn't play anymore, you were wrong. I was right. Okay. Look, if things go according to plan, USC, Notre Dame, they can continue doing business. So get that contract extended, get it out of the way, take care of it. Here's the full quote. Changes for the upcoming season include enhancements to the tools that the selection committee uses to assess schedule strength and how teams perform against their schedule. The current schedule strength metric has been adjusted to apply greater weight to games against strong opponents. An additional metric, record strength, has been added to the selection committee's analysis to go beyond a team's schedule strength to assess how a team performed against that schedule. This metric rewards teams defeating high-quality opponents while minimizing the penalty for losing to such a team. That's why USC can play Notre Dame every year. Conversely, these changes will provide minimal reward for defeating a lower quality opponent while imposing a greater penalty for losing to such a team. So again, USC gains absolutely nothing on their resume for beating the crap out of Missouri State, for taking Clay Helton and his Georgia Southern team behind the woodshed. They don't get anything out of that. And I have no idea what the advanced metrics are, what the criteria will actually be. However, I know this. USC scheduling those types of out-of-conference games, or Alabama scheduling Mercer right before the Iron Bowl, it does nothing to enhance your resume. And I think why they're starting to do this is because of what happened to Alabama last year. All of a sudden now, the SEC's been shut out of the national championship game 2 years in a row, and they're not sure how to deal with that. So their commissioner, Greg Sankey, said, we learned something for the first time through the 12-team playoff selection process, and that raises the need for deeper analysis and understanding. If we're going to just incentivize wins, playing fewer winning teams can get you more wins. I don't think that's great for football. So what he's saying is, just because we've got 10 wins and 2 of those came against Mercer and Wofford, if you lose in your conference twice to, teams like Vanderbilt or even a perceived good team like Tennessee, all of a sudden now you don't get to go to the playoffs because you don't have enough quality wins. I mean, Alabama felt like they really got shafted. I'm not sure why. They went 9-3. Just because you beat South Carolina and Missouri and LSU, big whoop-de-doo. USC beat LSU. USC beat Texas A&M. And I don't know what makes South Carolina and Missouri quality wins. Is it because they're just in the SEC that's quality? Give me a break. Anyways, I've been trying to tell everybody, keep strict scheduling up. Do not schedule down because they're going to come back to bite you in the butt. So I know everybody, and I know the Big Ten, I know Lincoln Riley would love to get that guarantee of the 4 automatic qualifiers. You're now hearing it from the College Football Playoff Committee. We're going to start judging the teams based on who they play, where they play, and how they play in those games. There's absolutely no reason to get Notre Dame off the schedule. I'm sorry. There just isn't. There just isn't. All right. That's it for this episode of Locked on USC. I'll be back again tomorrow. Have my Friday rant in there. Folks, we are so close. We are literally just a week and a couple days away from kicking off the season. Can you feel it? I can. I am excited. Cannot wait. And I can't wait till the next episode of Locked on USC. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.